Hello and welcome to the Peer Support podcast. Today's podcast is about looking after your well-being in winter and is presented to you by Rachel, that's me, hello, Andrea.
Hello everybody.
And Tim.
Hi there.
And we are all peer support workers who work within the Wellbeing Service. Today's podcast will cover what are peer support workers, looking after our well-being in winter, and we'll be sharing some peer support worker stories of looking after their well-being in winter. We hope that you come away from today's podcast with an understanding about looking after your well-being during the winter months. Just to introduce peer support work, just in case you haven't heard of it before. So peer support workers all have their own experience of living with mental health challenges. And the idea of our job is that we share our experience of this with others, along with our recovery stories to offer hope. We use our experience of recovery to help people to make sense of what they're going through and to explore what may support them in their own recovery. So, like I said, today's podcast is all about looking after our well-being during the winter months. And the winter months can bring a change to our well-being, both in a positive or a negative way. So today's podcast is going to just look at different experiences of this. So podcasting today, like I said, there's me, Tim and Andrea, and myself and Tim, our well-being goes up in winter, doesn't it? We both really enjoy the winter months, don't we?
Yeah, I love it. I love the shorter night or the longer nights, the longer mornings, how chilly it is. I love being wrapped up in a blanket. I just really I like the sound of the rain. There tends to be more rain in winter. Yeah, it's something I can really get behind.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think it was it our nature podcast, Tim? I'm not sure if I can remember which one it was now, but we both spoke, didn't we, in a podcast about how difficult we find the summer months and actually how our well-being goes down. But we also know that this isn't the same experience for everyone. So Andrea's joining us today. And Andrea, does your well-being go up in winter or does it go different?
No, it doesn't. My well-being is better in the summer months with the sunshine and being able to get out for a walk in the daylight. I especially like getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning in the summer months and going for a long walk before work. I can't do that in the winter. Also, as well, I find I tend to do less in the winter, so we have to focus on my well-being more. So no, I'm definitely a summer months person.
It's interesting, isn't it, how we can all experience, the same thing. So we're experiencing the changes of the season, but actually it affects us in very different ways. So we asked the rest of the peer support workers within the team in terms of, how does their well-being change in winter? And Tim, will you sort of start us off with the first one?
Yeah, so someone said that they feel like they can have less energy, they can feel more tired, feel less motivated to do things, and want to hibernate.
Interesting. And now I enjoy hibernating, actually. It's one of those nice cozy things to do, like you said, Tim, enjoy wrapping up in a blanket and a beanie and just being sort of nice and cozy and just sort of cocooned. But actually the other side of that is that less energy, more tired, less inclination to do things. And Andrea, with us, some other things that the guys were coming up with.
Yeah, so some of the other peer support workers very much in my corner. So they struggle with less light and not wanting to go out for a walk in the afternoon as the nights draw in. Yeah, so it sounds like these peer support workers are struggling with lack of light as well.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like you say, how light can actually have quite an effect on how we're feeling. I mean, I'm with Tim. I love the darker mornings and the shorter days and the longer nights. However, if you were making me drive somewhere, so I'm going to have to leave in the morning and it's dark and I'm going to get home and, when I finish work and it's dark, actually, I think I'd feel a little bit different. I'd be kind of going, I'm not sure that I like this so much. I mean, like I said, my well-being improves during the winter as I enjoy autumn and winter. I really don't enjoy the summer at all. But I think it's also seeing the strength in things, isn't it? So like you've said, Andrea, you don't enjoy the winter, well, actually, let's have a look at the strength in that, in terms of actually how can we change what we're doing in order to fit in with the changes in the season. And the same for me and Tim, you know, when we're both going, oh, it's the summer, oh, what is it that we can do to actually change what we're doing, or to adapt what we're doing to enjoy, you know, or to kind of, I'm trying to think of a word and it's escaping me, but, you know, to try and get through it as well as we can. So it's like I say, same season, different experiences. So like I said, what we really want to focus on is actually overcoming those challenges that winter can bring for our well-being. So again, we ask the peer support workers, you know, what is it that they do during the winter months that kind of supports their well-being, particularly if their well-being is having a bit of a dip. So if I kind of start off and we'll kind of share some different examples. So some of our peer support workers were saying that they eat better, more nourishing meals. I know that I love stews and casseroles in the winter, but what's also brilliant is a slow cooker. I don't know if either of you have got one of those.
Yeah, I have.
But what's so good of one of those is that, you know, say if you are struggling with your motivation and your energy levels, you can just pop a few ingredients in your slow cooker in the morning, switch it on in the evening, you've got a nourishing meal. And even if, you know, you haven't got the energy to cut stuff up, you can get pre-cut stuff. I know that can sometimes be a bit more expensive, but also I've made some really lovely slow cooker meals using tinned vegetables. Where you just, you know, bung them in, you know, a bit of chopped tomatoes, sorted, switch it on. 8 hours later, lovely hot nourishing meal. So yeah, definitely looking at what we're eating perhaps can help us there. So Andrea, is there sort of any other things that people have come up with?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little something to what you were speaking about a second ago with the slow cooker.
Sure.
I generally tend to do my casserole or my stew in there, but then I freeze portions, so that's easy to go to later on when I'm not feeling so good. So there's a definite advantage with those hearty meals in that respect as well.
Yeah, I batch cook as well, and like you say, it's just nice to, the only thought you've got is the night before, what am I getting out? Oh, I'm just gonna get that, put that in the fridge, sorted, microwave it later, lovely. So yeah, really sort of other activities.
Yeah. So the peer support workers have said that they try to sort themselves out some comforting activities. So they're things like curling up on the sofa with a hot water bottle and watching television, or doing knitting. So I guess the thought behind that is doing things we enjoy. Don't necessarily have to be outside of the house with lots of people, going to a tennis club, or other things that people do during the summer, walking along the seafront. It can be something equally that nurtures you that you can do at home, just cuddling up and getting comfy.
Yeah, and also I think like you say, those things that if we're lacking in that energy and motivation, we know that we get enjoyment from, but we also know that a simple, you know, in terms of your knitting, it's finding it. Or for me, it's finding it. Where did I leave it last? But yeah, kind of doing stuff like that doesn't take much energy, that you will get something from, and you're taking that focus away from what you can't do. Like you said, oh, don't really fancy that walk today because it's raining and it's looking a bit miserable. Take that focus away from what you can't, and put the focus on what you can, which is like you say, I can cuddle up on a sofa, I can watch a bit of telly, I can do a bit of knitting, read a book, you know, finding those things that we're able to do. And Tim, what else did the guys come up with?
They've talked about walking outside on cold, crisp, sunny days, enjoying the season. And I totally get that. Like, I've been known to take a picture from time to time in photography, and frost on cobwebs is always a nice picture. But just seeing how the season sort of changes the world around you can be a very mindful experience to me as well. Especially because it makes the world really pretty to me.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like when you say you popped out to put the bins out or something and you notice that those frosty cobwebs are there. I've done the same, or I've done stuff like if the car has been completely frosted over, you know, instead of going, oh, it's completely frosted over, oh, goodness me. But you can then notice the patterns in the frost. it can be really quite intricate and really quite nice. And I love the smell of a cold, crisp day.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it. It's just one of those, for me, very reassuring smells of like, oh yeah, oh, this is nice. And yeah, again, it's finding that strength in that day. You know, it might be cold and a bit miserable, but actually, what can you enjoy that's mindful? Even a mindful 5 minutes, you know, popping outside and like say, popping the bins out and noticing the spider web. So yeah, lots of different things.
Yeah.
I really think it speaks to how meaningful the subtle things in the world can be to me. Like just like steam coming out of houses as you're walking along. It's really homely, isn't it? And really nice.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And again, you know, you and I are both kind of showing that, oh, we really love this season. But even if you don't really love it, you know, even in the summer where I'm going, oh, it's hot, I don't like it. Even I can have those mindful minutes of, you know, when the sun comes through and you can see if it hits something and, you know, it makes rainbows and stuff like that. It's really sort of nice to do. And other people kind of talking about doing things to counteract the increased darkness. Like we've already said, you know, it might make us focus on, oh, I can't go out for that 6 o'clock walk because I don't really feel like I want to, or feel that, you know, it's something that I should do. Well, what they were thinking of was actually like putting up outside lights to counteract that. You know, maybe putting up the Christmas lights a little bit earlier outside, just to give that element of light on a very, very dark night to cheer themselves up, or to just have that more sort of light, sort of homely kind of feeling. So again, lots of sort of different small things that actually can make quite a big difference to us actually. So Andrea, any sort of more?
So just building on what you've just said, I know that in the winter months I'm more inclined to light candles and make the room cozy. And I've got fairy lights up from Christmas, you know, the previous year, and I turn those on. That somehow like I give myself permission to do that in the winter months. I don't know.
And like we sort of said about sort of changing things, I mean, whilst I enjoy winter, I'm trying to ensure that I'm still active can be quite a challenge, because I mean, if you listened to our Be Active podcast, you know, me and being active don't quite go together, but I'm trying. And it's kind of still doing that can be a challenge, because, you know, in the summer I would have probably gone for an evening walk, you know, 7:30, 8 o'clock, lovely. I don't really want to do that in the winter because it's much darker and feels different. So it's like, well, how can I change that? Again, not focusing on what I can't do, but actually focusing on the can. So can I change when I go for that walk? You know, can I do it in the morning, or can I do it when I first wake up? You know, actually have breakfast, go for a walk, then get ready for the day. And so perhaps changing the time of doing things to the daylight hours, or if we can't do that, because, you know, we all have different sort of schedules, can I find something, a different activity inside the home instead, that doesn't matter if if it's dark outside? I mean, I've got a mini exercise bike that comes out every so often, perhaps needs to come out a little bit more, but, you know, then it's like, well, it's dark outside, oh, it's miserable, it's wet, well, I can use that. Or if we don't have stuff like that, you know, simple things like going up and down your stairs or a bit of housework can actually be really sort of good active things to do as well. And Andrew, is there any other things that came up?
So people have said that planning things to look forward to. So, you know, booking things in for the following year when we know things are, when it's going to be lighter, and also things to look forward to in the winter months as well. So, you know, just those little treats, a shopping trip somewhere, or I know in this part of the world we have a Thursford concert, do we?
Yes, we do. Yeah, so it's like you say, things like that. Or if we're not feeling, you know, ready to venture out, or it feels a little bit too much at the moment, for me it's stuff like, I'm going to plan to watch that TV program that everyone's been talking about and I haven't watched, and like, but particularly for me, if I plan it for a weekend, so I've got the working week Monday to Friday, I've got watching that programme on a Saturday and Sunday, not that I spend the whole day doing it, I don't at all, but in the evening watching it, that's actually my little treat that doesn't cost me anything, because I'm just watching it on catch up or stuff like that. And yeah, again we keep coming back to it, don't we? It's that strength focus, you know. All right, you might not be able to do the things that you want to do because the weather's not quite as it is, or you don't have that same feeling of motivation to do it, but what can you do? What things can you sort of look forward to? Even if it's, for me, I look forward to a cup of tea at 4:01 when I finish work, because it's just nice though, isn't it? But again, it's whatever works for you. And Tim, was there anything else?
Yeah, the last one we've got is warming activities, and I'd love to talk more about that, because I'm not sure what people meant when they said warming activities.
Interesting. What does that mean for you, Andrea? A nice warming activity?
So having my cat on my lap. Okay, so he as you both know, he quite often during the working day gets on my lap and then he'll pop his face up when we're on our Teams calls. So for me, that's a warming activity. And hot chocolate, drinking a hot chocolate, which warms you as it goes down. That's really nice.
Yeah, and I think, like Tim, it's an interesting question, isn't it? Because it's different things, but for different people. For me, I love wrapping up in blankets, you know. I love I find it difficult if my feet are cold. I've always had an issue with, so getting my feet nice and warm, getting all snuggled up in a blanket and getting all cozy. For me, that's a nice warming activity. Or it might be actually when when you first get out of bed and you're like, oh, it's a bit cold. Oh, I don't want to get out. No, I want to stay where I am. No. But actually, when I do get out and actually have that nice hot shower first thing in the morning, that's really nice. It's a really nice way to start the day. Tim, is there anything that occurs to you for that?
I've suddenly got the urge to go get a blanket, wrap up, and read a book. That's definitely something. But no, I think I get it. I think for me it would be things like taking my niece and nephew, maybe let's go play in the park. That's never a non-active journey. And it's certainly a warming activity. And actually, I think there's something nice about getting your scarf on, getting your hat on, getting your gloves on, and sort of seeing, like you say, seeing that strength in what you're doing.
Yeah, and even when you put all of that on and, you first step outside and you're like, oh, it's a bit chilly. Actually, if you increase your pace for a little bit, I don't know if it's just me who experiences this, but, I'll then walk for a bit and then go, oh, yeah, I'll just loosen that a little bit, or I'll just take the gloves off and, kind of enjoy the cold as well. And I think it's anything, isn't it, really? It's what works for everyone, I mean, everyone's, I think, internal thermometer is different, isn't it? Some people find it very, very difficult to be cold and get cold very, very quickly. So, would need to do those warming activities quite soon. Whereas other people, actually takes a while longer to do that. And again, I think it's trying different things and finding out what works for you and your situation and kind of, going with it. Now, I think it's a bit tricky, guys, isn't it, to talk about wellbeing at winter and not mention Christmas in terms of how that might actually impact on our well-being, whether we celebrate it or not. And, it's something that, I don't know about you guys, it's talked about quite a lot, isn't it, in the months that, and the run up ahead of it, and then we get to the day and it's like, oh, okay, so quite quickly. But yeah, it can have, again, both a positive and a negative impact on people's well-being. So we wanted to have a sort of a little bit of a chat about that. And again, we asked the peer support workers, how they managed things at this time of the year. And, people were suggesting it's actually, they enjoy the festivities, the lights and the treats, which Christmas can bring, because, it's quite a bright season, isn't it? Even though the season itself is outside is quite dark. But I also know that's not everyone's experience in terms of, wanting to enjoy Christmas or celebrating it or stuff like that. And Andrea, was there any sort of other things that people sort of said?
Yeah, people said that managing family dynamics could be an issue at Christmas time. So, I think a lot of us have been there, that there's several family members we can spend Christmas with, who's going to go to whose house. how long are you going to stay around another family members? What about if you were really wanting a Christmas on your own, but you feel you've got to please people? So managing dynamics.
And I think every family is different, isn't it? You know, whether it's a small family, a big family, or like you say, whether you're on your own at Christmas, it's kind of, we kind of get thrown together, don't we? And there's possibly this sense of, oh, everyone must have fun, everyone must enjoy themselves, this must be lovely for everyone. And if we're not quite feeling that, you know, whether it's because how we're feeling inside, or possibly, you know, like you say, some family dynamics can be quite difficult and quite triggering. It's kind of managing it. I mean, for me, you know, I tend to go over Christmas Day, that's all right. Boxing Day, I go over later on in the evening because other family members are over, and it kind of gives me the time on one day, gives them the time on the other day, but we all see each other as well, and that for me works. But I also, I don't know if other people do this, but I also take stuff with me. So I'll take like a book, I might take my iPad, a pair of headphones, because I don't know, is it just us? We can never agree what to watch on the telly during Christmas. Is it just us?
It's not just your family, no.
Phew. And you know, it's like, well, I don't want to watch that, but you want to watch that, and it can easily descend possibly into an argument. Whereas if I go, well, you're watching that, well, I'll actually, you know, there's a podcast that I want to listen to, or there's, you know, something on BBC Sounds perhaps. I'll listen to that, and you guys do that, but I'm going to be in the same room. I'm not ignoring you, but we're kind of all together. Does that make sense? Kind of, for me, that really, really helps, instead of having to sit through something that I really don't want to sit through. So it can be a tricky one.
Rachel, I've also had people at my house and taken time out to look after my well-being. So when it's all become too much, I've just said to them, you know, it's been lovely, I'm going to leave you to it. I'm just going to go for a little walk, stretch my legs and walk my dinner off. And that's been lovely as well. So that's when I have enjoyed going out for a walk in the winter. It's really nice. You've got to look after you, haven't you?
Yes, and I think, like you say, if we're people pleasers, and if we're putting people before other people before ourselves, which is only natural, we do then need to think, when's my little time? You know, could it be that, you know, I might spend a little bit longer in the toilet than I would normally, just to give myself a few minutes, you know, or might offer to do the washing up or something like that. You know, it's lots of sort of different things there. So Tim, was there any other sort of things there?
So managing in today's uncertain climate, you know, it's, will we have turkey? Are the shops going to have what we need? Will I be able to buy the right presents? You know, there's a lot of there could be a lot of pressure around that.
Yes, like you say, and also for me, it's the constant media talking about it, isn't it? Oh, there's a shortage on this. Oh, there's a shortage of that, and it can be overwhelming, can't it? When you think, well, what am I going to get? How am I going to do this? And I always like a plan B, you know. So, well, if I can't get that, can I get this? Do we have to have a roast dinner on Christmas Day? You know, is there any reason why that should be the case? If we can't get what we need, can we have something else? You know, and like you say, it's managing things that are out of our control, which are always quite difficult, and then trying to problem solve that and see, you know, again, is there a can in there? We can't have turkey. Well, what can we have? Can we do something, you know, make a new tradition, have something else? So it's interesting. Andrea, anything else?
So some of the peer support workers have said that after Christmas it can be harder in those 2 following months, January and February, when it's still cold and dark and you feel like those months are never going to end, especially January, and it's like, oh, it's 31 days. Come on, when's it going to be up? And then you've got the hope for February. Oh, that's a short month. But then you realise it's only a couple of days shorter. So, you know, not really. So it's hard, isn't it? And we've got less money because we might have spent everything out for Christmas to have a good Christmas. And so maybe planning things in for those months. There may be things that don't necessarily cost a lot of money.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Trying to find sometimes low cost or no cost activities. You know, if we want to meet up with people, is there a way that we can actually do it that isn't going to cost us anything, or the cost is going to be minimal? Because like you say, I think however you spend your Christmas, if you're celebrating it, there is that financial implication of it. And I mean, I have stuff like my car insurance comes out in December as well, so it kind of makes an expensive month a little bit more expensive. And could we meet up for that walk on a nice crisp wintry day? Neither of us has to spend any money because perhaps we've both bought a flask with us, so we don't have to go and get that £3 cup of coffee or whatever it is. Kind of finding sort of different things, and like you say, like we said previously, having something to look forward to, having something that's planned, whatever that might look like for you. It might be that you enjoy a good sort out in January, so you like sorting out all the stuff and sort of starting afresh for the new year. Fantastic. Your plan might be, I'm going to curl up in bed for a bit because it's all a bit too much. It's all right, isn't it? It's kind of, again, finding what works for us. And I think also kind of thinking possibly in terms of the presents we're receiving. Are there presents that people can give us that support our mental health afterwards? So if we enjoy crafting, could we say, I'd really love some crafting bits and bobs, and that's going to keep me occupied for January into February. That's going to really aid my mental health because I've got that to focus on. So yeah, sort of lots of sort of different things kind of coming in there. And I think we've probably kind of covered everything except for the last thing. Tim, would you go sort of what that was?
Yeah, the last one we had was opting out.
Yeah.
To me, because I've had an opt-out Christmas where I decided that this year I just want to do something for me. And it wasn't that I didn't talk to anyone or I didn't answer my phone. I just decided that on that day I wanted to get myself just an oven pizza. I wanted to have a really simple day, just to myself. And yeah, do you know what? It was a really nice day. Traditional Christmas pizza.
Did you have stuffing on it?
No, literally it was just pepperoni pizza though. I made it myself. The oven one just seemed a bit, not enough. So I ended up making my own pizza. Turns out I'm not a great cook. But it was a really, really nice day, and I didn't feel all that pressure from the day. I ended up going to see my brother in the evening, just because I felt like I wanted to, but it became because I wanted to, not because I felt pressure to do so.
That sounds lovely, Tim, because like you say, opting out doesn't necessarily mean I'm not going to talk to anyone, I'm going to feel horrible all day. It doesn't mean that. It can just be that self-care of, that's not what I need for this day. I'm actually going to focus on me, and I'm going to do something that's going to support me, and it's not that I'm cutting everyone off or anything like that. And like you say, you did that, you put that time into yourself, and then afterwards you thought, we'll go and see my bro, see how he's doing, and actually do that. And like you said, because you wanted to, and actually sometimes that's what we need to do. Christmas can be a really, really lovely time of the year, but it can also be really incredibly difficult. If we've suffered bereavements, or we're going through a very difficult time of things, it can sometimes feel like the thing that you don't want to do. I can't do that this year, and I need to just, like you say, opt out and look after me, and still touch base with those people around us, but take that time for ourselves. So yeah, that's a really good one there. Thank you. But yeah, we've covered a lot of things here in today's podcast in terms of looking after our well-being in winter, and also, how we might need to sort of change things sort of coming into the Christmas period. So our next podcast will be actually reflecting on the past 2 years that we've currently been living through, and the things that we've learned from this time.
Okay, and you can find the links for today's podcast in the podcast notes.
So if you're listening to this and you're thinking that you'd like to refer to the Wellbeing Service, it's quite easy. You can self-refer, and you can do so either by using our website or via the telephone. If you're currently having treatment within the Wellbeing Service and would like to have peer support, then please do speak to your therapist, who can make the referral for you. So thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you'll be able to join us again for our next podcast, which, like I say, will be reflecting on the past 2 years. So I'm going to say goodbye. Goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me. Thank you for listening.
And that's goodbye from me. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.